Malik Willis proved himself a dual threat QB at Liberty. Over the last 2 seasons, he threw for 47 touchdowns and added 27 more on the ground, giving him an FBS leading 74 TDs responsible for. And only Louisville's Malik Cunningham had more rushing yards among FBS QBs last season. But do not sleep on his throwing. He had the 4th best QBR when blitzed last year. Hannah?
Thanks, Jay. So we are joined by Dan Orlovsky, Robert Griffin III, and nice to see both of you. Yes, sir. All right, so let's get going. You know, it's interesting. I don't know if you guys saw Jeremy Fowler over the weekend, but he said the Lions are taking a close look at Malik Willis. I mean, they have that #2 pick. We don't know where any of these quarterbacks are going to go, but I want to ask both of you, in terms of football and his readiness for the NFL, exactly where is he? And Dan, can you get this rolling?
Well, I think he's got traits that are going to allow him to survive. I never say quarterbacks are ready or not ready. Being ready to play in the NFL, and RG3 knows this, is like being ready to be a parent. Like, you just get thrown into it and see if you can figure it out as you go. I think there's 3 things in his game that at least give him the chance to survive as he's early on and then thrive. Number 1, he is a powerful but graceful athlete. He's a big, powerful kid, but he's not stiff. He's got this grace and fluidity about him that allows him to play quarterback at a high level. Number 2, he's got a snap release. Sometimes when quarterbacks have these big, powerful arms, it just takes a long time for the throw to happen. And then I think the 3rd thing is, at Liberty, he was asked to kind of go above the X's and O's a lot. You know, often carry a football team that wasn't as talented as the opponent that they were playing against. And he had to, in many ways, play Superman on a play-to-play basis. So he's used to that, because if you're taking a quarterback early, the Lions at 2 or the Panthers at 6, you're not expecting him to come in and play good football. You're expecting him to be great and, again, go above the X's and O's to be one of those transcendent players. I think he's got a lot of those kind of traits and or skills that allow him to at least go into the NFL and survive early on.
Robert, I see you nodding your head.
Guys. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of quality points there made by Dan. But when you talk about NFL ready, what does that even mean? If we gave any of these guys a playbook today and told them they had to play tomorrow, they wouldn't be able to go out and play to the best of their ability. There's so much time, work, and effort that goes into that offseason program, working with these NFL coaches, learning the offense, and building the camaraderie in that locker room and winning over a locker room. So we're only talking about these guys because they have those elite traits that can help them succeed at the next level. And when you talk about Malik Willis, unequivocally to me, his greatest asset is his football IQ. On the visits that he's been on, the decision makers that I have talked to, they have raved about his ability to recall plays, to digest information, and his situational awareness and knowledge of the game. So everyone's talking about his arm talent or his arm dexterity, his ability to throw off of multiple platforms and throw through tight windows. Everyone talks about his athleticism and his just playmaking ability. But what we're not talking about is his football mind. He has all those other traits, but his mind is what allows him to play one step ahead of the defense.
And that's just him in a vacuum, right? You have to go into the right situation with the right coaching, the right talent, and all of that.
I would even throw this into it. I think the ideal place for him is, 1, a place that already has a starting quarterback that you know as an organization you can win some games with, so you don't force him onto the field. And then 2, a head coach that does not need to win to save his job. That's because, again, the head coaches that get young quarterbacks that are in that limbo of, I got to save my job, you rush the young quarterback out there, kind of throw him to the wolves and sit there and say, well, if he shows progress, then it could potentially save my job. Where Malik is a guy that you really want to be patient with when it comes to bringing him along into the NFL.
Look at Robert again, agreeing.
Been there, done that.
With all of this.
I'll take it a step. I'll take it a step further, right? Malik Willis, the ideal team for him is the Atlanta Falcons. Yeah. They've already brought in Marcus Mariota, so you know that head coach Arthur Smith and the offensive coordinator Dave Ragone, they're committed to having a dual-threat quarterback system, right? They want more athleticism out of the position than they had with Matt Ryan. And Malik Willis is a guy, he's a hometown kid of an Atlanta, Georgia native. He's going to bring an excitement to that city that they haven't had since Michael Vick left. I went to an HBCU Celebration Bowl game that I had to call with Mark Jones, and I went to a barbershop, and they were sick and tired of being sick and tired of having Matt Ryan. I know if they draft Malik Willis, the hometown kid, they'll be throwing block parties everywhere.
Yeah, sometimes, though, it's not easy to go home. I'm just saying, sometimes because of the expectations. All right, is there a quarterback? We spent all this time on Willis, and rightly so. Is there somebody we're just not talking about enough, Robert? Somebody that's flying a little bit under the radar that's surprising you?
Oh, without a doubt. The guy that is the most undervalued in this draft class right now is Desmond Ridder out of Cincinnati. He's a bona fide winner. He was 44-6 as a starter, 26-0 at home. This guy has the athleticism. He has the arm strength. He can manage the game. And when plays break down, he has the playmaking ability to make you right as a coach. So ironically, the best place for him is also Atlanta, but people aren't giving him enough credit. The player that he was as a freshman and the player that he was last year after being a 4-year starter, completely different. You saw the growth. You see that in the NFL with better coaching that he is going to continue to have an extremely high upside. So I think Desmond Ridder, after spending some time with him and watching the tape, he is a guy that any team that gets him is going to be very lucky.
What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think simply put, Desmond Ridder from Cincinnati is the best quarterback in this class when it comes to
pure quarterback.
When it comes to quarterbacking,
okay.
Absolutely. Maybe he doesn't have the tremendous athleticism or talent that guys, if they reach it, are going to be. But where do I have to throw the football? When do I have to get there? And mechanically, am I ready to do it? And I think he does that the best at a consistent basis. Also, Hannah, he's the only guy in this draft class that is going to be drafted early on that ran the line of scrimmage. That got up to the line of scrimmage, got them in and out of run plays, changed protections, told the offensive line or tailbacks where to go to, and consistently played the hot game depending on pressures. He's the only guy that did that. So he's the guy that you sit there and go, when we draft him, is he going to be capable of playing football early on for us and giving us a consistent chance to win? Desmond Ridder from Cincinnati, I agree with RG3 that he's that guy.
You think Atlanta's the best, like Robert?
Best situation, I think, for Desmond Ridder is Carolina to trade back, acquire picks, and take him in the second round.